is when you speak, you are addressing two realms simultaneously. You're addressing the present, which is what you see, and the system, which is what you don't see. I'm going to repeat it. When you speak, you are addressing two realms simultaneously. You are addressing the present, which is the realm that you do see, and then you are addressing the system, which is the realm that you don't see. Our case study is Jesus cursing the fig tree. And we have that in Mark 11, verse 22 through 24. All right, so here's the context of Mark 11, 22 through 24. Mark 11, 22 through 24. The context is a hungry Jesus went to a fig tree to see if it was producing fruit. When he reached it, there was no fruit because it was not the season for figs. When Jesus saw it not producing, he cursed it, saying, "May no one ever eat fruit from you again." And the disciples heard him. The next morning, Jesus and the disciples come upon the cursed fig tree and saw it had withered roots. So the first thing to note here in this scripture is to note that not only were the leaves dead, but the roots were dead. The things that you generally don't see, you don't just see roots, you know, up on the surface of the ground. So when Jesus spoke to the fig tree, not only did he speak to the leaves, but he was also speaking to the invisible system, which are the roots, right? Which means that, you know, we're speaking to two realms. How do I know Jesus killed the roots? Well, in verse 20, it says, in the morning as they went along, they saw the fig tree withered from the roots. Okay? So not only was the tree itself withered, but the roots were withered as well. Remember, we're always dealing with two realms simultaneously, right? The spiritual realm and the physical realm. So let's continue on with the context. When Peter saw the tree, he remembered what Jesus said the day before and said, "Look, the fig tree you cursed has withered," right? And in verse 22, it says, "And Jesus answering them said unto them, have faith in God. For verily I say unto you, that whosoever shall say unto this mountain, be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, and shall not doubt in his heart, but believe that those things which he has said have come to pass, he shall have whatsoever he saith. Therefore I say unto you, whatever so ye desire, when you pray, believe that ye have received them, and ye shall have them." All right, so the first thing that Jesus says to them is what? Have faith in God, which means that everything that he's about to say next about their ability is riding on their faith or their conviction that God is telling the truth. Everything that Jesus is about to say to them after about their ability is riding on their faith or their conviction that God is telling the truth or that Jesus is telling the truth. Then he says in verse 23, "Verily I say unto you that whosoever shall say to this mountain." Okay, so the first say in this sentence, he says, "For verily I say unto you." The first say comes from the Greek word epo, means to command. The second say, because the second part of the sentence says that whosoever shall say unto this mountain, the second say comes from the Greek word lego, which means speak to the system. I'm going to repeat that. When Jesus says, "For verily I say unto you," that first say is command. It translates to the Greek word epo, which is command. But when he says that whosoever shall say unto the mountain, that second say comes from the Greek word lego, which means speak to the system. Y'all following me? So he's commanding them to speak to the system. It's not just, hey, speak to this mountain that you see. No, that second say is you need to speak to the system of the thing. Okay? The mountain translates in the Greek, y'all, to difficulty or anything lifting itself above something. Mountain is not just a physical mountain. This is a metaphorical mountain. And it translates to difficulty or anything lifting itself above something. Do you feel like there is anything lifting itself above you? Do you feel like there's something that's too big for you? That's something that's standing in opposition unto you, right? That is the mountain in your life. You are to speak to that system of it. The system, whatever is anchoring in it, okay? Let's keep going. So far, Jesus is saying, I command whoever speaking to the mountain or the difficulty or the thing that's lifting itself above you to speak to the system of it. Now, let's keep going. What are you supposed to say? You're supposed to say, be ye removed. And be ye removed, that phrase translates to depart or rise up out of the ground. Okay? Be ye removed translates to depart or rise up out of the ground. What is the ground? The anchoring system. When you say remove translates to depart. What else you're supposed to say? Speak to this mountain. Cast yourself into the sea. Cast means to throw with force or effort. But the sea is not just a body of water. The sea means mingled with fire. So you're telling whatever it is that is rising itself above you to depart or rise up out of your anchoring system and throw yourself into the fire, which means burn up. You're talking to the system. You're telling the system to burn up, right? Not just the object. Whatever is rooting, whatever this object or this obstacle is rooted in, that is what you're telling to burn up. If you burn up the system, you eventually kill the thing that is anchored into the system.